Hey folks, I'm Rob.
And I'm Nathan.
And we are
Two Guys in a Ride.
And today we are at the Shed in beautiful Warroad, Minnesota.
Now the Shed is a private collection of 90 plus classic and unique cars that's open to the public and owned by Bob Marvin. And if you want to visit, we've listed their contact information in the description below the video. Well, what do you say, Rob?
Oh, I say,
let's go for a ride. Hi folks, I'm Nathan with Two Guys in a Ride, and today we're out here with Doug, and we are out here with what kind of a car, Doug?
1970 Buick GSX Stage 1.
It is a stunning car.
Yeah.
Now, tell us a little bit, since this is a GSX, and you know, it's one of Buick's sports cars, what do we have underneath the hood?
455 Buick Stage 1 four-barrel, four-speed car. Factory rated at about 360 horse, which I'm pretty sure was done for insurance purposes. I would say it's probably closer to 4 and a quarter. The claim to fame with this motor, though, was the torque, 510 pound-feet of torque, which was about the highest rating you could get in a U.S. car back then.
Wow. Now, just about every car in the Shed's collection is unique in some sort of aspect.
Yeah.
So what was unique about this particular GSX?
Well, they only made 678 GSXs that first year. Don't know the difference between the Saturn Yellow and Apollo White, the number-wise that, but only out of those 678, 118 were four-speed cars like this one.
Like this one?
Yeah. And again, the color Saturn Yellow and Apollo White were the only two colors available. Yep.
Okay, so fairly rare car. All right, so looking at it from the front, you know, you've got the colored in headlamp housing.
Yep.
So that's not chrome, just the bumper and the outside of the grill.
Yep.
And then underneath you got like a snow shovel.
Yeah, the air dam.
That is a huge air dam.
Yeah, supposedly for stabilization at high speeds.
Does it work?
I've had it going pretty good. I don't remember being worried that it was floating.
Okay. Now on the hood, there was always a tack.
Yes, okay. And that was, as somebody just mentioned, that's kind of like the early days of the heads-up display. Way easier to keep an eye on the tack up there than trying to look down at the dash and keep a straight line in a race.
Yeah, and it's quite easily visible.
Yep.
When you're inside the car, which is surprising. Now I love these rims. These are original?
Yep, Buick Rallye wheels. Probably one of the most popular wheels Buick ever put out. They just class up any car that they had back in the day.
They do, and they look great. And what kind of tires do you have on here?
Goodyear Polyglas. They are bias ply.
Okay.
Most of the cars in the Shed are muscle cars, and they do have the original style tires on them.
Man, they're wide.
Yes, 15-inch.
Wow.
Tires, G60s. The GSX is based off the Skylark, but with the GSX package, you got 15-inch tires and wheels instead of the 14-inch. You got disc brakes up front, drum in the back.
And the drums were bigger.
Bigger drums.
Okay.
Obviously, 15-inch rims instead of 14-inch on the base Skylark. And then you got the graphics package and the spoiler on the rear.
Which look great.
Yep.
They absolutely look great. Now, I also noticed the chrome trim that goes around the wheel wells.
Yep.
That wouldn't have been on a non-GSX. I'm guessing that was maybe added.
It was probably part of the GSX package. Higher trim end, Buicks, even the Skylark. If you bought a higher trim package, then you would probably get that on there. Okay. So it wasn't just unique to the GSX.
Okay. All right, let's walk to the back. Wow, what a huge bumper. That's got, I mean, that's, well, that's close to 2 feet. Man.
Pretty deep chrome bumper, yeah.
Yeah. So the exhaust on this particular car has been modified from what it was originally been on. So what does it have?
It has Flowmasters on it. Flowmaster Series 40. Still gives it that deep muscle car rumble.
Oh, yeah.
Without being annoying. Like some glass packs used to be back in the day, or cherry bombs.
Decal packages, are those decals or painted?
They're decals.
Okay, so that continues on the back, so you could tell that it was a GSX as it was passing you.
Yes.
Now, in the trunk, did you have a spare?
Yep, spare tire. Still has the original hard board cover for it.
Okay.
And bias ply also, just to match the rest of the car.
All right. And moving around to this side.
You also had sport mirrors on it that were body colored.
Yeah, they're not chromed.
Yep.
And for once, you had mirrors on both sides of the car, right? We've ridden in a couple that only had one
or none.
One or none.
Yep.
Okay, well, let's take a step into the inside.
Okay.
And we'll talk about that. So one of the first things I notice, of course, is the manual crank windows.
Yep.
And then, of course, the nice chrome door handles here, the GS. Now, why didn't they badge on the inside? Why didn't they badge GSX and just put GS? Do you know?
No, that I don't know. My best guess would be who's going to see it on the inside. They do have it on the dash.
On the dash, where you would
but you don't necessarily need it on the door panels.
Okay. Now, down here on the very left-hand side underneath the dashboard, you've got 2 pull levers. They are for
ventilation.
Ventilation. Yep. Okay,
and you need it because there's a lot of heat in these old cars.
There's and they're on both sides. And of course, you got your brake release, and you've got your parking brake, and your clutch and brake and accelerator, and so forth. So tell us about the transmission.
It's a 4-speed with a Hurst shifter in it, which was Hurst, of course, was very popular. Shifters back in the day, they were usually way better than the factory shifters.
Okay.
Just because of the way they were designed.
All right. And then up on the center, that above that, of course, you've got just a Buick logo.
Yep.
And that's a nice touch. I mean, that's a big piece of
and these were
designed to put in.
Yeah, there was 2 different consoles available on these cars.
Okay.
This half one, as they called it, but then they also had one that went between the bucket seats with a little storage area.
Okay. Up on the dashboard, of course, you got your light switch, your washer and button, your wipers. You had your turn signals up here on the column.
Yep.
Then you had, this had air conditioning?
Nope.
Nope.
And cigarette lighters, normal AM radio.
Okay. And then, of course, down below that, you had an ashtray.
Yep.
And then, of course, your glove compartment.
Yep.
All right. Now, the
car did come with shoulder belts also if you wanted to.
Okay. Now, those are the ones that are clipped up here.
Yep.
You got sun visors, your rear view mirror. Up on the dashboard, of course, you just had some standard gauges, right? You had because your tack was on the hood.
Yep.
So you had a big clock, a speedometer, fuel,
oil
and engine temp. Okay. Yep. All the basics. And the seats, of course, were manual.
Yep. Okay.
So did the seats fold?
Just like that. Nice and easy reach in.
And they do fold
way down. So
way down, boy.
You could actually, if you wanted to take a nap in the back seat, you could stretch out fairly easily in it.
Put your legs up on there.
Yeah.
And of course, in the back seat, you had your manual crank for the windows. You had a light on either side, and then a coat hanger.
Yep.
On both sides, besides your seatbelt holder, and then an ashtray.
On both sides.
On both sides. And a big long bench that didn't fold or because that didn't close up, so you'd have more trunk space. Okay, they weren't worried about that.
No. These were built pretty much for straight lines.
Straight lines without curves.
Yeah. They handle well, but claim to fame was they were a rocket down in the straight.
Let's open the engine cover for a minute and take a little more closer look at Oh, that looks beautiful. Now, these were functional vents that we saw on the hood.
Yep, that was Buick's version of ram air.
Okay.
So it just, when you went faster, it forced more air into the carb, and of course, more air, more fuel gives more power.
And, the headers are chromed nicely.
Valve covers, yep.
Sorry. The valve covers are chromed nicely.
Yep.
As
That was another added touch to the
the
Stage 1.
GSX, okay.
Stage 1 package.
Man.
Then, of course, power brakes.
Power brakes, power steering.
Yep.
Does 12 volt or 6 volt system?
12-volt system.
12 volt system,
Yep.
okay. And
some of the things you don't see on cars today, this actually tells you how much windshield washer fluid it carried. 1 pint, 2 pints, or 3 pints.
Okay. And then this would have been your overflow reservoir for the radiator.
Correct.
Man. You actually had room to work on this, despite the size of the engine.
Yes, plenty of room to reach in and change plugs, change the water pump, whatever you needed to do.
Man.
Couldn't quite stand next to it like some engines, but there was room to work.
There's definitely room to work.
And you had a little flare to it. You know, today you look under the hood and everything's black and it's plastic and you can't see anything. Now, like you mentioned, you got the ribbed chrome valve covers, Buick red engine color. You don't see that today.
And then the black, of course, on top of everything. Yeah. It is nice to see that, isn't it? There's a little attention to details. All right, let's close the hood. All right, so here are the scoops that we were talking about, the air intakes.
Yep.
All right, right there. Wow.
So, you know, some say they didn't have much effect on performance. Others say they were good for 10 to 15 horse.
Okay.
So take it with a grain of salt, I guess.
Okay.
And maybe block them off one time and try it.
And try it.
See if you notice a difference.
That was my thought. Block them off and see what happens.
But why would you want to do that? Because it's so much fun to drive.
It is. And it's really fun to listen to. So tell me a little bit, Doug, about this design on this rear window here.
Well, the Buick, Skylark, Chevelle, Cutlass from Olds, they were all kind of the same basic body style, but they all each had their own little flair.
Okay.
Buick's would have been that quarter window, the way it was notched like that, where everything else, all the others were kind of rounded.
Okay.
It maybe had a little kink down at the bottom, but this is, and it almost mimics a 69 Grand Prix back quarter window.
Sure.
Almost.
You know, I if you look at the trunk from the side, I like how the side fenders come down at an angle.
Yep.
On both sides, and then it kind of flattens out, but then also it's rounded. You know, it's not completely flat. It's got a slight curve to that back end.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love this color. I mean, to me, it's got some sort of a green tint.
It might.
In the yellow somewhere. It's definitely
Yeah.
yellow, but we're picking up a little bit of green here in the light, and it looks absolutely fantastic.
And you know, by using Saturn Yellow and Apollo White, they were kind of paying homage to the astronauts in '69 landing on the moon.
Ah, that was a reason for it.
Yep.
A while ago, we talked about the exhaust.
Yep.
Can we hear it start up and hear that exhaust?
Absolutely.
Well, Doug, thank you so much for spending your time telling us about this beautiful car behind us and some of the history behind it with design elements. And it's just absolutely stunning. So thank you.
You're welcome. Appreciate it.
On another fantastic vehicle, and we really want to say thank you to the great folks here at the shed in Warroad, Minnesota. And this is Rick and this is Doug. You saw them in their videos, and of course the owner, who's not here right now, but we do want to give a shout out to Bob Marvin as well. But before we leave you, make sure to leave a comment below, click that subscribe button, and
Ring that bell notification so you never miss one of our videos.
That's it. So, thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Rick, Doug, and me. We'll cut that part out.
Yes, we will.
I almost tried.